Progtime, the Layered Reality YouTube show.
Guys, gals, and MB pals, welcome to a brand new episode of Progtime right here on the Layered Reality YouTube channel. And in this month's edition, we got a lot of great stuff for you, a lot of new music for you guys to dig into, and a lot of bands that we want to put into the spotlight. But first, we're going to start with the Layered Reality news that happened this month. Now, first and foremost, when you're watching this video right now, the Layered Reality website is back online again. Yes! It has taken us a considerable amount of time to get the website up and running again. We're not going to bore you with all the technical details, but we can say that we spent the most of January and February getting the website ready for all of you guys again. So everyone can now get back to ordering stuff from us through our web store directly, and we're going to be adding a lot of more stuff to the website as time continues. We want to add band profiles, links to press. We want to add a lot of new things to it as well, because we all felt that the official website deserved a bit more love, and we were now finally able to give that to it. So yeah, new Layered Reality website is up and running. Check it out, and be sure to come back regularly, because there's going to be news about all the bands that we're working with and a lot more other things that we will be sharing through that website in the future. But besides website news, we also got some new music news to share with you, because we can now finally announce that the Belgian extreme prog metal heads from Onmyo-Za have become a part of the Layered Reality family. I am beyond excited about this. This is a band that I loved when I saw them at Prog Power last year, and they kind of just blew me away. I was like, holy shit, this is incredible. And then I found out they didn't have a label, and I talked to them and was like, how the hell do you guys not have a label? What is this? What is this madness? And then they told me the same story that a lot of bands have been telling me over the years, that what they were doing was too weird and no one knew what to do with them. And I was like, please join us. So there we go. Onmyo-Za, with their amazing record, The Immense Rise, and more records coming in the future, will be releasing their material through Layered Reality Productions, and I cannot wait to help these guys reach a bigger platform. So there you go. And if the news about Onmyo-Za wasn't enough, we can now say that we've also signed the Romanian mad professors of metal from the Romanian band with this name right here. Thanks to Professor Rowan pointing him out to us, we all listened to it. We were like, holy crap, this is an incredible band. We should have them on the label. And they graciously said yes. So these guys are going to be a part of our lineup soon as well, and we will be releasing their new release in the future. And finally, a little update for those of you who haven't seen it yet. The guys from Seven Station signed with us last month. I mean, most of you have already seen the news, but I just wanted to point it out one more time. And they're now working on a new EP, which is going to be bat crazy, and I have not even heard a note, but I've heard about what they told me, and just by the words alone, I was like, I want this record. I need this in my DNA badly, and I'm releasing it with the label. So that's awesome. Anyway, my friends, I could gush on about this news for hours, but I am not gonna. We're gonna go to the first musical segment of this episode of Progtime. Let's go. Booyah!
It's supposed to sound like that? Oh, okay. Hi, it's Lauren Holly from Layered Reality Productions with another segment on Progtime, where I review 5 progressive metal artists for the rest of us who are not actually huge progressive metal fans, but can use as a starting point if you want to get a little bit more into the genre. And today, I'm going to be reviewing The Mountain by this band here, Haken, or I guess Haken. Now, when I first heard the name Haken, I honestly thought that this band was somewhere from the Netherlands, Finland, Sweden, or Switzerland. It actually turns out that Haken are a progressive metal band from the UK, and they were formed in 2007. The Mountain is their 3rd studio album, which came out in 2013. On first listen to this, the actual opening track surprised me because it's a strictly choral number, but it is beautiful. I thought, wow, if the rest of the album is like this, I'm probably going to wind up playing this at my funeral, or it's going to have me weeping at work. But the album systematically changes all the way through. This band has been able to bring in elements of ambience, noise, synth pop, jazz, and something called glitch hop drums, which I actually had to Google because I had no idea what it meant. And my other half's a drummer, but he's never used this function before. Glitch hop drums is technically when an audio or a digital piece of equipment malfunctions, and somehow Haken have managed to actually combine this into this album. Now, the standout tracks for me obviously was the first track, which was The Path, and I also stumbled upon a fantastic little video on YouTube called Cockroach King, where the band has actually put themselves into complete Muppet form. For me, that is brilliant, because it makes it a whole lot less intimidating for the listener when you're actually looking at a band who are highly technical, accomplished musicians in Muppet form. So what I would do is, if I were you, have a listen to it, take it with a grain of salt, and be prepared to be amazed at the complete diversity that you hear on this album. There is no one song that sounds alike. At times it can be a little overbearing, possibly a little bit cheesy, but there are some beautiful moments in there, especially with the piano and the choral, that really make this an interesting listen. I hope you enjoyed my little segment. I probably don't know what the I'm talking about, but for me, I really enjoyed this after a couple of listens, and I think you will too. So that's all from me on Progtime. Enjoy, and I will see you next time.
Hey there, once again, there's another format, another few minutes of nerdish steel, and I'm gonna talk about the band called Devenial Verdict. The album in question is called Ash Blind, and it is from 2022. The music style is called avant-garde death, but I wouldn't call it avant-garde. Let's just say it's tech death, bordering on really progressive, just hardcore extreme metal. 8 tracks long, 44 minutes and 18 seconds strong. How would I describe this band? It's a mix between melodic atmosphere and blind rage. The vocals really rip the structures apart that are built constantly in each track by the rest of the musicians. You get to delve into that atmosphere, and once the vocals hit, it's like, yeah, bam, all that. And I kinda like that. The transitions from highly melodic to red hot with hate is astounding, and the technicality the band provides is icing on the cake, on the tech death cake, so to say. Why do I think prog lovers might like it? The simple fact that most willing listeners will listen to this a bunch of times just to be able to grasp this in its entirety speaks volumes. Many people that listen to metal are not bound to one genre or subgenres. If I mention the word grower, and I guess this is a massive grower, and it will grow on you over time, and you will have to listen to it more than one time only. Just check it out. Check out Ash Blind by Devenial Verdict. Have fun, and tell me what you think about it.
Thanks for watching Progtime. I am Professor Rowan, and welcome to my laboratory. Let's talk about what is quite possibly the greatest album of all time, The Room by Ostura, from Lebanon. It was released digitally in February of 2018 and in physical form by Universal Mina under an exclusive license in April of that year. Stylistically speaking, this is what the band describes as cinematic prog metal. It features the City of Prague Philharmonic Orchestra, conducted by the band's keyboardist, and choirs from the Lebanese Film Scoring Ensemble, 3 vocalists, including Mike Mills, you might know him from Toe Hider or Arion, several guest musicians, including Arjen Lucassen, each vocalist, even including the choir. They portray a distinct role in the story that extends throughout the entire album, which takes place in an imaginary internal world created by and in the mind of the protagonist, known simply as the girl, and is portrayed by the singer Yumna Jerisati. I truly hope I pronounced her name right. The other 2 characters in the drama that plays out in the story are both personified aspects of the girl's psyche. Utopia, played by Mike Mills, is the part of her psyche that seeks escape into an imagined utopian world. His counterpart and opposite is known as Erosion, portrayed by Elia Monsef, who embodies the darker, self-destructive side of her mind. As the story unfolds, these three dramatis personae engage in a titanic struggle for her future. Does she escape into a perfect, unreal world? Does she self-destruct? Or does she emerge from the room into the real world with her mind at peace? At the end of the story, you'll be able to decide which you believe to be true. This is an album of utterly immersive, progressive metal, bordering on and bleeding into prog rock, which is set apart into a class of its own by the degree to which the orchestral parts are integrated into the progressive metal and rock band. It is no mere decoration or ornamentation, or an afterthought. It's essential. The electronic elements begin subtly, and over the course of the album they become increasingly prominent, and likened with the orchestra, they are integral. The lyrics and story are so well written that they would not be out of place on the syllabus of a literature course. That's not a threat, that's a promise. I am a progfessor, after all. I would strongly recommend getting your hands on a physical copy of The Room, as the artwork by Charles Assaf is beautiful, and more importantly, it helps bring the story of the album to life. These pieces of art are not decorative or ornamental either. They are also integral. This album is flawless in every way. It is a goddamn Gesamtkunstwerk, a total work of art. While it's difficult to compare Ostura to other bands, I'd recommend this album most of all for fans of bands like Arion, obviously, Stardust, Melted Space, Beyond the Bridge, and even if you're into Leprous, you'll find a lot to love, given that both Danny and Elia are huge Leprous fans. There is something wonderful for listeners of all tastes and preferences within The Room. Give it a spin. Spend some time in The Room. When you're done, you'll surely want to return for more. It is still every bit as mind-blowing as it was the first time I listened to it. Go get this album.
Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is James, and you may or may not know me as the frontman of Canadian power metal band Lycanthro. When Tom told me that I was going to be getting my own segment here on Progtime, I figured I would take this really good opportunity to talk about a musical subject that is near and dear to my heart and I'm very passionate about, and that's nerdy Japanese metal. Yes, everyone who's known me for longer than 10 seconds knows how much I love Japanese metal. And now I finally have a platform to talk about it all. I want to shed a light on a lot of the great metal bands that come out of the land of the rising sun, because a lot of these bands share, a certain uniqueness and aesthetic that you don't normally see from bands here in the West. I always like to joke with people when they say, oh, there's nothing original music anymore. And I'm just like, yeah, there is. Go look at what Japan's doing. And as this is Progtime, I want to showcase more of the bands that are more prog adjacent, or bands that I feel like prog fans will enjoy and get something out of. I want to showcase the bands that are weird and do things different and are more ultimately not that well known outside of their native Japan, that I feel like they should be more world renowned than they are. With all that said, let's talk about a band that I feel couldn't embody any of these sentiments more than the monolithic Onmyo-Za. Onmyo-Za are sort of like a mix of prog and traditional metal and symphonic metal, and they are a band that formed in Osaka in 1999 by the husband and wife team of bassist and songwriter Matatabi and vocalist Kuroneko. In terms of their sound, they very much incorporate everything from classic heavy metal to thrash to warm operatic vocals, and they have a lot of use of traditional Japanese instruments. The best way I can describe Onmyo-Za is pretty much what would happen if you took Judas Priest and Nightwish and you threw them both into a blender, and then the resulting music was played by Inuyasha characters. Their musical style is very much eclectic, and they draw influences from tons of places, like everything from classic thrash to symphonic metal to traditional Japanese music, all the way up to full-blown pop music. And thematically and lyrically, Onmyo-Za draws inspiration mainly from classic Japanese folklore and literature. Heck, their band name even means the classic idea of yin and yang. Well, at least that's what it translates to. Everything about this band screams Japan and its culture in its purest form. And that's really why they're really well known in their home country of Japan, but not really elsewhere. I mean, this is a band that will full on sell out arenas, stadiums, and other such venues in Japan, while very few outside of there know them. They're essentially just the Japanese equivalent of the Tragically Hip, although way, way cooler. For all my fellow Canucks that might be watching this, I'm sorry, but the truth hurts. And the reason why I think prog fans will enjoy this kind of band, because their songwriting and musicality are never straightforward and will even keep the most seasoned of prog nerd guessing. Just to give an example, on the same album, they could have a heavy as balls song that could be something that you could hear on something like, I don't know, Creator's Pleasure to Kill. And then the next song right afterwards could be a flowery J-pop song that could even make baby metal scoff. And the best part about it is, it never feels forced and it always feels completely natural. And despite all that, a lot of my favorite songs from Onmyo-Za kind of fall in that really nice middle ground from those examples that I just mentioned. Now, in the case of Onmyo-Za, I will always recommend this song to start people off with. It is pretty much their most famous song. It's essentially their Run to the Hills. And the song is called, hope I don't butcher this, Koga Ninpo Cho, or it roughly translates to the Koga Ninja Scrolls. This song definitely illustrates a lot of the previous points I've made about this band, where the songwriting and the riffing is very Judas Priest and Iron Maiden. It's very much deeply rooted in an old school metal sensibility, but the vocals are very, very reminiscent of people like Tarja Turunen and pretty much most symphonic metal. It is Judas Priest riffage with the very nice, delicate sounding voice you get from some band like Nightwish. And if any anime watchers hear this song and think it sounds familiar, that is because this song is the opening of the classic anime Basilisk. In closing, I want to thank each and every one of you for checking out the very first segment of Tokyo Tunes here on Progtime. I really appreciate it, and I hope you guys find something you enjoy and discover something new from this segment. So I'll be back next month to talk about another underrated Japanese band. And until then, stay metal, my friends.
On the next episode of Progtime.
Their musical style, extremely eclectic, their musical style, I can't talk today.
The first... Brian, shut up! The first track...
I guess it's Devenial or Devenial? I just don't know. I don't have a clue.
It is... Ow. My mouth started getting dry. I don't want to take a sip of on camera for this.
Experience that we can... Burp. Wacht even. Of this...